I got to tell you, if you think that running a large company is hard enough work, okay, imagine running an organization with 1,400 people where you now know that those folks are consistently being scrutinized by the public, have to watch everything that they're doing, of course, like we all do, but are out there performing on a day-to-day basis, and to the point where you are involved in policies and your employees are involved in policies and doing things that are impacting the public directly. And so I am so glad to have the opportunity to be able to introduce Chief Ken Cost from the Mesa Police Department. I tell you what, I'm gonna go over here and give you a hug too. How's that? Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
All right. You know, I'm just gonna throw this out here, and I've had an opportunity to just travel around the country, and I really believe, and I think a lot of you would agree with me, that this is, the Mesa Police Department is the best police department in the country. So thank you for your work.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I love that list. I'm just glad that like none of us were on that list. Right. I'm not that funny, so I'm never going to make that list. And the fact that you threw a lawyer in there, yeah, that's going to create some buzz right there.
Yeah, right. And you could do a whole other list, I think, with that one alone, and pick any industry, right? All right. So
awesome.
So, Chief, share us, how large is the Mesa Police Department?
Well, yeah, it's 1,400 people. So I think one of the things that people forget is how big Mesa is. You travel around the country, people don't understand just how big it is. 36th largest city in the country. If you just want to have fun with Google and you go on Wikipedia and you kind of look at the list, you'd be amazed at the cities that are smaller than Mesa. But we're a big department. We have 1,400 total people. We have 850 sworn officers and growing. Which is great, and the rest is our professional staff. So that's another little known fact, that 40% of our department are civilian professional staff employees that support what we do every day. So it's a big, big department.
That sure is. And I tell you, on the fire side, fire medical side, by the way, I want to mention that I've got my boss here, Chief Mary Camelli, so good to see you, Chief. And you mentioned 40% of your department, and that's one thing a lot of folks don't know, is that our police and fire departments do have a great number of professional staff and folks who manage areas such as our technical services side. So there are a lot of areas that require folks who come in with professional backgrounds and such, right, to manage some of those areas.
That's right.
Yeah. So the Mesa Police Department has some great programs that engage youth and community. We see you guys all the time on social media out there. Can you share a little bit about some of those things that are going on?
Yeah, we're really proud of, one of the pillars, I moved here from California, and one of the pillars that drew me to this agency is how much they connected to the community. One of the first agencies in the mid-90s, yes, I get it that I'm old. I didn't even see that, don't worry about it. One of the first agencies in the country to have community action officers or community service officers out there, officers that were dedicated to connect with the community. Now it's so built into our culture that your patrol officers every single day are stepping out with the community, with our youth, not driving by a park without stepping out and talking to our kids. So the youth programs that we have are everything from our Aspire Academy, which brings high school aged and junior high aged young women all together to not just learn what it's like to be a police officer, but also a firefighter, and that is an awesome program. Our Youth Leadership Academies, again, is touching our high school kids, bringing them in to really show them what we do every single day, talk leadership, learn off of them as much as they're learning off of us, and by the end of that week, it's such a cohesive group, and I promise you that they walk away with a different perspective on what law enforcement is all about. Versus looking at their phone and learning, from social media. They're interacting with our officers every single day. And then when you reach down to the elementary school age, which we think is really critical, our SPARK program, which is sports programs and reuniting the community, we do soccer programs, basketball programs with these kids, these 5th and 6th graders in the schools within Mesa, and especially the schools where services are needed the most, to connect with these kids. And it's our officers coaching these kids over a several-month period of time, and it ends in games against each other and other schools. And we get 600-700 supporters, family members that come to those events, supported by our high school gyms, and those programs are key. So it's everything. It's dedicated units to do it, but it's really on the front of every officer's mind that if you don't connect with our community, the community and police are one. It's not, there is no sides. We're nothing without the trust and legitimacy from the community, so we're very dedicated to that.
I tell you, yeah, thank you for all you do there. I tell you, because you guys certainly, mentioned on social media, you see just when you're out in the community, your officers engaging, and that means a lot, I know, to our community. So now the department has some really good public success stories, some really big things have happened recently in protecting the public recently. Can you share some of those stories?
Well, that's a good broad question, but there's a handful of things. So let's just talk about like quality of life issues. Because we understand that, especially around July 4th and New Year's, it's burdensome for folks. We want people to have a great time. We want you to use legal fireworks, the things that you can buy at a stand. But literally, with the investigations that we did, we seized almost 4 tractor trailer fulls of aerial fireworks. So $1.5 million worth of fireworks that were seized through an investigation by our street crimes folks and our officers. And that is very, very important because we've seen in even other communities, really, really aggressive fires, things that are threatening people's lives, beyond just the noise that just rocks your neighborhood when that happens. So that was a great program, and then we continued our enforcement throughout the night, which is not just enforcement with tickets, but it's also education, to make sure, working with our fire partners, that everybody understands the dangers of aerial fireworks. So that was just recently for quality of life. And, of course, at the tip of our mind is the violent crime that affects our community, the crime that affects our community, and how quick we're able to respond to those events. And so we've had some recent violent acts that we've been able to solve really quickly, based on our crime-fighting model, which I know we'll talk about here in just a little bit.
Yeah. And I tell you what, if folks were to go to our website, mesaz.gov and /police, you'll be able to see a lot of the programs that are happening, because it's not just about being reactive, it's about being proactive. And Mesa's been really good at doing programs to help prevent crime. Now, Mesa's also been recognized as the 2nd safest city in the country. I'm going to give us a second to applause for that one. Nice. The 2nd safest city in the country for our size. Will you take a moment and share something about that?
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Like I was talking before about how people underestimate the size of Mesa, 36th largest city. So when you take the cities that are within that range, say it's 400,000 to 600,000 in population, and there's plenty of them. I mean, I gave you homework earlier to look at those, but out of all those cities that are in between that range, we're only behind Virginia Beach. And we creep up on Virginia Beach every year. We haven't caught them yet. But so far this year, 6 months into the year, knock on some wood here, our crime has seen a pretty significant reduction from last year. So we continue, and just a few years ago, we set records for the lowest crime rate. And it is apples to apples, meaning that you can go back to 1981 because it's population-based. It's crimes per 1,000 resident, so it equals. And at one point in Mesa, we were well over 100 crimes per 1,000 resident, and now we're down in the 20s. So it's pretty amazing what's happened over the last couple decades, and especially what's happened over the last 10 years or so just to reduce crime. And it's not by accident. It's the community working with us and really being engaged, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. But that's something that people should really look at when you're looking at a place to go move, to go live, to raise your family, to bring a business. Mesa is really proud to say that we're the 2nd safest city in America our size.
That's awesome. I'll tell you. And so that segues into this. Can you share a little bit about Mesa's crime-fighting model?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we're really proud of, and I would say that Mesa's always had a proactive approach to crime fighting, but for a little over 16 years, we're very data-driven. People call us we're a little bit nerdy when it comes to fighting crime, meaning that we can pinpoint down to a street corner with our crime analysis unit, with our CompStat process, which is an accountability process that we really run every single day that holds accountability from the command level all the way down to the trainer on the street on where are we going, where's the crime, where are we moving our resources, and how do we affect that. So it's proactive activity, enforcement, education, and you bring all of that together in intelligence to take us to exactly what's happening, where is it happening, and how do we get to the core of the issues. So not just trying to arrest your way out of the issues, but also connect with the community, get our schools involved, and really have a global approach to attacking crime. And when you have that and everybody is working seamlessly together, It's amazing to see the results, and that's what we're seeing. So that's what you've seen with that dramatic drop from that 100 crimes per 1,000 down to the 20, is this multifaceted approach, and it's very, very analytical. We use technology to the 10th degree. We have a real-time crime center, and if you're not aware of that, just go to our website and look at that. We've done well over 700 tours of our real-time crime center. And so what that does is it literally takes outward cameras that are already available, and the software stitches those together. So when we get dispatched to a call or a call occurs, the officers in the real-time crime center and our civilian staff are already putting eyes on, say a call happens at Alma School in Main Street or Alma School in Southern. They can get eyes on that area and describe what's happening to the officer when they're en route to the call. And then what that's going to turn into is live video being sent to the officer's vehicle so they can see what's happening before they even arrive at the call. We're also using our UAS program that as soon as the 911 call gets dispatched, it gets launched from the top of a building and it starts going to the call, and it's on scene with an overhead look before the officers even get there. And so that's a safety issue for our community, and it's a safety issue for our officers, and it's really an incredible program that a lot of folks are trying to replicate throughout the country.
Wow, that's impressive. Thank you. Wow. Now, how can the public support the police department?
You know, I saw that question, and I would just say this to the public. Be engaged. Don't just sit on the sideline. We need our public. So there's well over 500,000 people in Mesa. I just said there's 850 officers, but spread over how many shifts and how many areas, and we have detectives, and we have all these areas. We can't do it alone. So I've always said that we have, 505 sets of eyes out there and instincts, and you know when there's an issue, you know when there's a problem. You know what is normal for your neighborhood, and you know what's not normal for your neighborhood. And when you think that something's wrong, that's when we need to get those calls, and we need that help. So whether it's 911 or our 644-2211 number, which is the non-emergency, we need those calls so we can react and make sure that we're involved. And then the other half of engagement is get involved in our programs. You go to our website, on our Mesa Police website, you'll see a transparency page. You'll be able to click through and go to our community engagement section where you can be a part and be a solution to the issues that we're seeing. You can be a part of our training. We engage the community to literally look at our 5-year training plan and tell us, what do you think? What should we be training? What does the community think? We look at things like use of force, which is a big topic, and we bring our community in 10, 15 at a time to look at our policies and to let us know, what are your thoughts on these policies? Well, we need people to engage in those programs. We need people to engage in all of our community forums, and that's really important because if without engagement, then we don't have that feedback back and forth. So that's my ask from the community, both on the reporting side, but then the engagement side for our programs.
I do. That's a common trend in public safety, isn't it? When you look at police and fire departments, it's typically, and you'll hear that common thread, it's about engagement from our community, because we can't do this on our own. And so this is certainly where we not only need your support, but the big part of it is learning CPR, learning the use of 911 system, understanding when you see something, say something, and reaching out. So there's a lot of things that you can do to help be able to mitigate and decrease injury and illness as well as crime in our community. So that's something I think we're all in on too. And the other thing I wanted to throw out too, and a lot of people don't know this, is the relationships that police and fire have. Because a lot of times you'll hear people say, oh, police versus fire. Well, we're all in it together. We start off in the same academy. And we go through academy, and there's many of us who've gone through our colleagues across the way on the police side, and we get to grow up together in the organizations. And so the relationships start off pretty early on in our careers and work their way up to the highest levels where we collaborate on a great number of programs, not only in the field, but also programs that we do to serve the community. So I tell you what, Chief Cost, thank you very much for leading a world-class leading police department. Appreciate everything that you all do, and thanks for being our guest today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm all talking police on fire all of a sudden.
Right. Awesome, man. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you so much.